This is a quick review of the KingKutter Professional TYR-96 Landscape Rake. 8-foot spring tines, 3-point attachment. I'm running it on my Kubota L4600 HST. I use it for general driveway smoothing, a little bit of cleanup landscape-wise. I've owned this about 16 months, maybe. I purchased it in October of 18, and it is now spring of 20. I've had it through 2 winters and 1 full summer of use. It's a basic landscape rake. If you're watching this, I'm sure you know what a landscape rake is. This one has forward and reverse operation. It's running forward, and to reverse it, pull the pin and spin it as such. Okay. So, simple basic operation. It does have a built-in stand, so it has retaining clips for the stand. When you're ready to put it down, drop it, and when you drop, I usually set something under it so it doesn't punch into the ground, but it does function. The overall quality on this tool, I'd put this at an average, I guess, or slightly below average for the quality control builds. It does function, it works. It definitely has a few issues, and I'll cover those. First off, it is, I'm going to say some of the welds, the quality control on the welds, a little sketchy. You can see this one is already starting to crack along here, and I'll run a little action shot and we'll see exactly why I think it's cracking. But it's done it on both ends. You can see both ends are starting to crack. Those welds are cracking, and internally they've only welded one side, which I guess would be normal, but they really didn't finish that off very well. And the quality overall, you can see somebody just clearly did not quality check that. And so I am not a welder, but I know how to weld, and that's not it. A lot of these, the welds are either undercut or cold. It's pretty significant when you look across the entire implement. There really is a lot of just poor quality finish on this, on the welding side of it, and I suppose on the paint side as well. Yeah, it is not great. I can redo this, I can fix this, I can beef that up. Shouldn't have to, but I can. It's another one of the, what I would consider not a great weld. A bit of undercut there, and I'm not sure what's going on here, just some blobs. Again, not horrible, certainly not great. The finish on these, on the stand, when they weld these stands, it's pretty poor. The fit up on them just wasn't good. Can't really tell that in the video, but it's just not. Overall, I think the design is strong. I don't have any issues on the strength of the 3-point attachment. That end I think is strong enough. I do have a design problem with the back. Now that I've run it, I see what it does. A little bit of a design problem there. The general fit up on this end, if you see how the paint is missing here and the gap here, obviously when this thing drops down to the ground, that pushes up, and the reason we have paint war on this is because of the overall fit. And of course we're getting a little extra twist because of the gap. You can see this is already, just after a year, how that hole is wobbled. Just kind of poor. I think they could design that a little better and get a better fit up and a better life out of this piece. So, okay, and that's the top side. There's some pretty interesting stuff on the bottom. Oh, one thing up here while I'm on the top, the hole, the way that they've designed this for lock that pivot is they've taken the hole actually down into the structural tube, that 3-inch tube. That hole goes through and into the tube, and that, as it turns out, is a bit of a problem, and I'll turn this over and show you why. Okay, this is the bottom side, and as you can see, it does have a full 3-inch tube running the cross member and front to back out to the rake. So the square tube is sealed. I say sealed in air quotes, right? But so it's sealed at the ends with the lower lift arm attachments here sealed, and sealed to the center structure. So that looks like that should be fine. But now the center support going out is also sealed on the bottom, front to back completely, sealed onto the 3-inch tube for the lift arms, all the way out to the front turn for the rake. So as on the other side, what we can see, the hole for the turning adjustment goes into that top tube. You wouldn't think that'd be a big problem, but of course water goes in one way and has nowhere to go. I recently, just this spring, drilled these holes because when I got this out to use it and laid it down, water ran out, and I got to look in and drilled the holes, got that taken care of, and it was absolutely full of water in both tubes. Not sure exactly how the water got into the rear or into the main lower lift arm tube. I don't know, must be a hole internally here, but I absolutely see how it would get in from the top, because that's where the pin goes in. So these holes I just added. But now you can see what has happened. This was full of water through the winter. I'm not sure if you can see the profile. Well, looks what it has expanded and caused the paint that's expanded enough. The paint has chipped off on the corners, and it's blown out on the end, on the lower end. This end here is not quite as warped, but it is absolutely swelled because of the ice freezing inside of that tube. So if you own one of these already, put drain holes in it, and you will save yourself some issues. Even if you're not in a freezing area, you need to get that water out of there. So that's, I would say that's my #1 complaint, and I just discovered that yesterday when I drilled those holes. Again, I don't know how the water got into this front end tube here, but it did. And you can see another one of the just poor cold welds here. It's not quite what it should be. And so that's a general quality. The support, you can get a little bit better view now. Not very strong. A couple of times with this, falling over on its own, and it's pretty much bent that. It needs to be rebuilt now. So that's the general use quality of that tool. It is not as strong as you might expect anyway. So there you go. That's the bottom side of that one. Okay, the audio got a little overpowering from the tractor and the rake, so the main point of this video, if you look at the end of that rake on the left side, you can see it twists differently, a little more pronounced than the center, especially in the slow motion or when I'm slowing down here. It twists, and it's definitely more pronounced when you get into heavy material. And the driveway, it's not so bad, but if you're doing landscaping, pulling a lot of amount of dirt, it will twist significant, and I believe that's what's causing the excess wear on that center weld, and will ultimately cause the rake to fail. So that needs to be beefed up a little bit, and that's my recommendation on this one. Maybe you don't need an 8-foot rake ultimately. Okay, that's the basic ins and outs, flaws as far as I see them. The final result for me, is this a decent landscape rake? Yeah, it's decent. I've used it. I think I paid $650 with tax, everything. Not horrible compared to some of the truly professional models. Definitely more expensive than some of the other versions that are out there. This one is an 8-footer. If you don't need 8 feet, my recommendation is don't get the 8-footer. That extra little bit. The 6-footer was going to be a little small for this tractor on an angle. It doesn't cover, of course, as much, and I wanted to cover the wheelbase when I was, cutting at a 45. If you don't need 8 foot, don't get 8 foot. That puts a lot of stress on the ends. I will beef it up and make it right so that I can use it good. If you decide to buy one, or if you already have one, if you have one, put the holes in it. Make sure you're not holding water. Get the drains. Check your welds on here. Just check for cracks. If you got them, get them before it falls apart. Just have somebody touch it up. If you haven't purchased one yet and you're in the market, look it over good. If you see some really bad spots or anything weak in the welding areas, just don't buy that one. Just shop around. I'm sure, these are built one at a time. They got some kid, some high school kid part-time running a MIG gun, and he's not perfect. Let's just put it that way. Check your welds. Not bad. Overall, not bad. At the price point, it's decent. I probably would buy it again, but I would definitely look it over. Make sure I was getting one with a few less flaws on it. And if I'd have known, that's why I'm doing this. Put some holes in there, get that water out of there. That will, if you let that go over a few years, it will burst that tube. It's not going to get any better if it's holding water, so get it out of there. And there you go. KingKutter, you need to step up your game a little bit. Definitely, QC the welds. My opinion, could do a little bit better job on the paint, but I get it. You got a price point to meet, and that's just what you're doing. So there you go. Enjoy. Thanks for watching.